people can't progress, people can't move into other areas. I have those type of conversations with battlers all the time. You have to find your migration areas. You have to find your places where you can shift out of certain areas where maybe you're becoming stagnant or things that you can't do long term. Like me, for example, a lot of people know me from being a platform and a league owner. I can't imagine to tell you the stress I would be under if I was planning my future based on battle rap. It's just not a great industry to try to put all your eggs in that basket. But you can't convince everybody. You could lead a bunch of horses to the lake, can't force them to drink. It is what it is. So that always be my advice. Find your transitions out of places that might be stagnant, out of places that stress you out of places that don't have short or long-term consistency. Find transitions or find additions. That's the cake and eat it too, as a matter of fact. But anyway, salute y'all. Appreciate everybody tuning in once again. We are back here at the Sorry It's True podcast, episode 6. Thank you for all the people that's newly subscribing. I'm watching those stats on the channel. I can see the people that are subscribing off of podcast episodes. That's dope, man. I really appreciate y'all. I'm an up and coming podcaster. I've been blogging for over 10 years, but when it comes to this content and podcast space, I'm going to stay humble. I'm going to keep my foot on the gas. We're not stopping. I told y'all my goal is to have 7 days a week of content up on this channel. It's not going to be easy, but that's my goal. Aim high. We'll see where we land. I say those same type of principles for success. Aim to be a billionaire, and I guarantee you're going to be a millionaire. That's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? Like, set high goals, set high expectations of yourself, be consistent, work hard. Don't be deterred. Don't let people push you in different directions. Don't let people troll you or talk you out of things. Decide what you want to do, put your foot on the gas and drive. That's really how it goes, man. Those are some of the key ingredients to success. And I plan on keeping those type of ingredients right here on this podcast. For example, there might even be a couple things that y'all can notice from this new episode right here, off rip. If you compare this to my previous releases, you should see a big difference in the camera quality. I had to step my game up for the camera quality with y'all. And for all the videos related to this podcast that I released, I wouldn't be surprised if I didn't drop at least 30 videos already. I probably only seen like 2 comments about the camera quality. But even still, I pay attention to constructive criticism, even if there's not a big cry out for it. Because if we're talking about moving this thing forward and keeping up with the times and always trying to elevate our quality, step our game up wherever we see those opportunities, it don't matter whether there's 1,000 people screaming about the quality or there was only 2 people out of 1,000 screaming about it. Those 2 comments was right. And I could see it myself now too, like watching the stream as we're recording right now. Man, this is a big difference. Keep dropping your constructive criticism for me. And speaking of Blood, Sweat, and Tears 7, once again, go to rarebreedent.com. You can get your tickets to be in the building, get them on pre-sale. There will be tickets at the door as well. If you want to just pull up and grab your ticket at the door, there will also be VOD for people that cannot make it to the building. If you want to just grab the VOD, click play, be able to rewind, replay the videos, each battle that happens. October 29th, you'll be able to do that from the VOD as well. You can grab that at rarebreedent.com, or you can go directly to rapgrid.com. Both links will be in the description of this box right here. So grab your tickets, grab your VOD. October 29th is going down. Oxygen Bar in Atlanta. Everybody get there at 12 o'clock. Doors will open at 12. So if you're the type of fan that likes to be right next to the battles or right there on cam, or maybe standing right next to me or right behind one of the battlers, your favorite battler or somebody that you're coming out to support, get there early, be in the building. And as far as like the whole setup and the layout, it's first come, first serve. So we in there, October 29th. Get your tickets right now. What's some other small things going on before we jump into these topics? I saw the trailer for John Wick 4. I'm a fan of the John Wick series, even though, Keanu Reeves, he's a horrible actor. I've been saying that forever. I feel like Keanu Reeves is the most popular, worst actor in Hollywood. And that's one of the reasons why I think he was so good in The Matrix, because it's almost like a robotic type of character. You don't have to deliver that many heartfelt or emotional type of charismatic lines. His fucking delivery is so flat. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't really listen to him when it comes to dialogue. But he's an expert in other areas, and I've given Keanu Reeves that type of respect and appreciation before. For The Matrix, he studied kung fu or karate, whatever style it is, or fighting that it is that they had to do in The Matrix, and he pulls it off very well. Same thing with the John Wick series. He went through professional gun manipulation training with experts. And I think that's one thing that the John Wick series does that I haven't seen done too often in a lot of movies. It really tries to focus on it's still a movie. So when I say expert level, y'all, cut me some slack. But the John Wick series tries to get real close to real world training of gun manipulation. There's a lot of CQC in there, close quarter combat, even CQC with gun shooting, not just, the hand to hand combat, but there's a lot of CQC even with gun manipulation. They try to put like a heavy emphasis on things like tactical reloads. You see, he does like a lot of torso shooting before he goes up for kill shots, things of that nature. They emphasize on a lot of different brands of guns and styles of guns and the reasons behind certain type of guns. So they really cater to gun enthusiasts, and I think they do a decent job there. You know what I'm saying? And he's very, very trained up to actually deliver some of those aspects for gun enthusiasts. So I have a real big appreciation for the John Wick series. The last one, what was it? Part 3? Yeah, that one with Halle Berry, was it? I thought that was probably but 1 and 2, dope. And I have decent expectations for part 4. I'm not gonna say this is the best series of all time and shoot my expectations through the roof, but I'm a fan. So we'll see what happens with that. I don't know what else is big right now on Netflix or Disney. What else do I have? I have Hulu. I have Tubi. Y'all drop me some comments below. Let me know if there's a new dope series out or a dope movie, short series, short film, whatever, documentary that y'all want me to check out. Even if y'all want me to react to it or review it or talk about it here. I don't know what to watch right now. I'm not sure what to put on. Ever since I finished the Dama series, I haven't put anything on. So yeah, y'all put me on. Let me know what's going on out there. What are y'all watching? All right, let's kick off these main topics. I saw this one going around. I guess you can call it big news. A lot of people probably don't care about it, but it's still intriguing because it involves 2 big figures on the internet right now. One has been a big figure in the hip hop community for a very, very long time, and that's TI. The other one is the internet sensation, Charleston White. Let me start with Charleston White for a second, because this is my first time talking about Charleston White on a channel. You know what? Let me take a step backwards first for the people that might be watching this that aren't aware who Charleston White is. It's almost not easy to describe him because at one point you can call him an activist. At another point, you can call him a troll. At another point, you can call him a realist. There's just so many things that he says that is just outlandish. He's very disrespectful at times. He said F some of your favorite deceased rappers in the world, for example, Nipsey Hussle, right? He said some very disrespectful things in his direction. Same thing to King Von and whatnot. But it's wild because his brain has these ways of justifying these comments, whether he's in troll mode or he's being serious, because he admits to both. Sometimes he's in this activist mode and there's things that he says where it's like, yo, that's actually good advice. Or yo, he's really shedding light on something that we're not really paying attention to, or he's really bringing about a perspective that if you're being real, we have to incorporate into the way that we're looking at some of our situations as a culture. But on the flip side, he calls himself a character. He says he trolls. He says he lies. And there's a lot of things that he says that we could just be like, nah, that's BS. He's reaching, or he's just talking sideways at this moment. So my overall description of who Charleston White is, he's a black man that's on the internet, and he's speaking against the hip hop culture and rappers heavily. He has a lot of unpopular opinions about black hip hop culture, about gangs, about people that have died, about government. He's very abrasive. He's bold in the things that he says, but then again, sometimes it comes off as him not being bold, just his attempts at being a shock jock. And he definitely has shock jock qualities. He seems like he'll say anything to get a reaction. He'll say the most disrespectful things, whether they're based in reality or truth or not. And that's the catch with him, because there's so many things that he says that's based in truth or based in reality. He says a lot of good things and he says a lot of fuck shit. So for me personally, I've always stood in the middle with Charleston White. I took him as entertainment, and at the same time, I might grab a gem here and there and appreciate some of his perspectives. But man, this recent one here is going to have people continue to move in the opposite direction from Charleston White, because he's undeniable. So that's why I say people's going to move in the opposite direction, because he's obviously got millions and millions, maybe billions at this point of views across all these different YouTube channels and YouTube videos and social media platforms. He might be over a billion views at this point. I feel like he's taking the place of, the Boscos of the world, or almost the Whack 100s of the world. You even have back and forth with Whack 100. These are people that talk a lot on the internet, that just make it entertaining to discuss wild topics. You go over to Whack 100 on Clubhouse, and he's talking about, once again, I'll use Nipsey Hussle as an example, maybe some tapes that he got of Nipsey Hussle in a compromised situation. You go to Bosco, and he'll be talking about some wild stuff and, going at people and arguing and fussing with certain people too. Who's another one? You got Crip Mac. Crip Mac has been an entertaining guy for the better part of at least the last year to a lot of people. People book him and interview him. He's been on platforms like No Jumper. And even the platforms themselves, you got to remember, these are big platforms that somebody like Charleston White has been on. I think he's been on Vlad. I think he's on Say Cheese. I was talking with Math the other week. I was like, yo, get Charleston White on your platform. There was a moment where I was telling myself, when I start booking people to do virtual interviews with me, I was interested in possibly booking Charleston White too. I question myself on that right now because, man, he don't make it easy on the ears sometimes with the things that he says and the things that he does. But here's a recent thing with T.I. So at a high level, this is how this all came about. T.I.'s son, King, we've seen him on the internet get into a bunch of random stuff here and there. I know that happens a lot. We can easily stereotype somebody or write them off from seeing one video of them. And I don't want to be that person. But in general, on the internet, T.I.'s son is coming off a little bit like a problem child. Every time he's in the headlines, it's for something that you look at a kid and be like, yo, he's getting in trouble again. Or maybe he's acting out because his father is T.I. or whatever. And that's becoming the perception of T.I.'s son. So with him having that perception on the internet, here comes the Charleston White. Charleston White is going to be critical of him. He's going to talk down on him. He's going to speak about him. He's going to call him out, all types of stuff. And I think T.I. jumped into it for a second, as he should. This is his son. And T.I. is obviously always on social media, always on the internet. He's always addressing topics on his own social media. He's always doing interviews. He's in and out of controversy himself. T.I. is an outspoken person. So you would expect to hear from him if his son is getting, shots thrown at him from one of the biggest people on the internet right now that's talking about people. Charleston White. So T.I. starts responding to Charleston White. That within itself could be like bait, line, hook, and sinker for somebody like Charleston White. Like, oh, got him. You know what I'm saying? But he starts responding. There's even a leaked phone call that Charleston White put out where T.I. is speaking to the manager and he's asking questions like, I'm trying to understand why somebody the age of Charleston White would be coming at somebody the age of my son. And then we see another response start to go up from Charleston White. Now, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. In Charleston White's response, he goes off of like, I wish King would run down on me, because I think there was another response by King, T.I.'s son, going back at Charleston White. And he's like, I wish King or T.I.'s son would run up on me. I'll shoot him in the throat, just like I Trayvon Martin him. He says something along that line with those words. And it's just like, wow. So number one, you're putting Trayvon Martin's name in a context that's very, very ugly. Number two, you're talking about shooting a child in the throat, shooting a child, period. Now, I get it. Charleston White's base for that is going to be, I was talking about self-defense because I said the words, if he runs up on me. And that's why he uses the example of Trayvon Martin, I guess, because you're trying to give an example of an older man and a child in some type of confrontation. I got to assume for any father, if you hear another man threatening your son and saying the words, shoot him in the throat or shoot him, period, whether you're responding and talking about self-defense or not, something like that will put you in jail immediately. Immediately. Meaning you see red. You threaten my son, you see red. And I don't think that any of us believe that T.I. is soft. I don't think that any of us think that T.I. is not going to move for his people or for his family. But this is social media. It started on social media. T.I. involved himself on social media. There's leaked phone calls now. What is T.I. going to do? You think T.I. can now walk up to Charleston White in private and handle his business? You think T.I. could hypothetically send somebody at Charleston White and it not be traced to him almost immediately? You guys have just created a real big social media beef. And that's actually beneficial to Charleston White because he's pro police. He's like, I'll call the cops for anything. If you threaten me, if you scare me, I'm calling the cops. I go to clubs now with cops. I don't know how in tune y'all are. I don't want to get into all that right now, but he's super, super pro police. He's super, super pro civilian. So having that position now on social media, that does tie T.I.'s hands if he even wanted to do something. I know some people will put that down and say Charleston White is a troll. Charleston White is a character. He's a shock jock. He's talking mess. And even though as a father, I probably see red for hearing anything like that with my son involved, I'm still not going to get tricked off the streets over something like that. I'm just going to stay away from this guy and be over here. But I don't think T.I. was able to put it down. So his response after hearing that is an outcry to the public. He asked the public to cancel Charleston White. Then you see further videos with T.I. complaining that he's upset that people that he deemed friends and family, or people that he's came to the defense of, or he's come to help before in the past, he doesn't see anybody reacting over the fact that he feels his son was just threatened by this man, Charleston White. He's like, everybody is zip tied right now. What's going on? He feels let down. So that leads me to another point. People have these expectations of certain friends, air quotes on friends. I've personally learned a long time ago, the word friend, the word family is extremely overused. That's why I speak on people that do the I love you to every and anybody. They tell everybody I love you. And you know that love is circumstantial. You know that love isn't going to make you get up 4 o'clock in the morning and do something for me, even though you tell me you love me. Even the word friend, it's overused. Brother is overused. You know, unless you're just talking about a term of endearment real quick, like, nah, that's my bro or something like that's cool. But when you constantly, that's my brother, do you understand what the stamp of friend or brother should come with? If you call me your brother or your true friend, you should be able to get out of bed 3, 4 o'clock in the morning if I have a problem. It's that type of shit. That's why me personally, I have about 10 friends. And I think that's a lot. I think having about 10 friends is a lot. These are really, really people that I know in a time of need, whether good, bad, extreme, they will move for me. They will react for me. They will help me. And y'all be really thinking that all these people are your friends. And I know T.I. knows this, but the outcry that he's expecting comes with this clause right here. All these friends that he's referring to, it seems that he's insinuating they're other like celebrities, people that would have voices and be able to speak out and get somebody like Charleston White canceled. They're not going to, because they're not going to risk Charleston White damaging their brand or their name on the social internet, seeing how big he is. It's just not going to happen. Everybody is going to go like this. I can relate, T.I. I can relate. You know how many times I've been on the phone with people in my industry? I know it's a way smaller industry than yours, but it's an industry. In my industry, like, nah, I know them. That's foul, or this person is this, or this person is that. But when it all goes down, I could cry out to the high heavens, yo, I'm being robbed. I'm being sabotaged, this, that, boom, 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 boom. People will try to stay neutral. They'll try to stay quiet, or they'll do this. No matter what they text me, no matter what they tell me on the phone, no matter how much they smile in my face, no matter how much they tell me, I got you, or you my brother, or any of that, or they my friend, all of that goes out the window. Nobody wants to jeopardize themselves, even their brand, even their reputation, or even possibly getting some Charleston White backlash or him talking about you on Instagram next. They don't even want that. They don't even want that. So it's almost a letdown for me to see T.I. let down. You know what I'm saying? It's like I have my moments myself. Once again, I can relate where I'll be like, damn, like, really? That's how all y'all stand? But I snap out of that shit quick and be like, that's the world for you. That's the world for you. Once again, I know thousands of people. Year round, I work with about 1,000 people. No exaggeration. When you take my involvement in corporate America, my regular life via associates, friends, family, Rare Breed Entertainment, whatever, I interact with at least 1,000 people per year. Probably, and I mean of that 1,000 people, more than once. I don't mean like just bumping into somebody and like, oh, what's up, ARP, blah blah. I don't mean that. I mean, interacting more than once, at least 1,000 people a year for me in my life. And I just told y'all I depend on about 10 people as far as friends. Not family. I depend on anybody that I call family. If I call you family, I don't even want to do an explanation. But for everybody that I call a friend, it's about 10, like a true friend. I have high expectations of them, and they have high expectations of me. So it's like you got to know the difference. You got to know the difference. And people is not coming to T.I.'s defense on this. And on the Charleston White side of things, all these people that are giving him a platform, it's money induced. And there's no hate in my blood at all, because like I said, I considered booking him as well, you know, and getting him on my platform, not only because I know it'd be an interesting conversation, but I know there would be business involved. Everybody's watching him right now. And these are civilians, just like I am. I'm a civilian. People's not trying to involve themselves in some of these crime-based situations that might come out of the internet or some of y'all feuds and back and forth. So all of these platforms are just going to continue to book him. And he's doing significant numbers on all of these videos, all of these big platforms and people that want to book him and interview him. And people are going to book him and interview him even if they don't agree with the shit that he's doing and the shit that he's saying. That's the internet. That's the internet. That's where you have to stop having these type of expectations. I learned that the hard way as well. So Charleston White, people could put up the flag of cancel him, even if you're T.I., somebody that has a very, very big platform and a very, very big voice. All this cancel stuff, it's not going to happen unless everybody turns their back and there's no platform for you to speak on. Even in battle rap, there are people that the culture has tried to cancel before. If those people get on their own channels or their own social medias and they begin to talk in the privacy of everybody's home, people are going to click play. It's all anonymous, right? If you happen to hate Charleston White, yet in the privacy of your own home, you click play on one of his interviews or one of his viral moments or something like that, indirectly, you're supporting him. The more viewership that he has, the more views that he gets anytime all these people are clicking him because some new wild shit that he says goes up or goes viral, people are going to want to book him. People are going to want to book him just based on T.I. interacting with him right now, going back and forth with him. People are going to book him just to ask him a question on camera. Yo, so what's going on with you and T.I.? 100,000 views, 200,000 views, 300,000 views. We're all empowering people that we act like we want to cancel. So even T.I. calling to cancel Charleston White, the best that you can get out of that is big celebrity friends of yours don't rock with him. What Charleston White got to do is get on his own YouTube channel. He'll still make tens of thousands of dollars per month talking the same shit. And here's my near future prediction for Charleston White. He's going to get worse. Y'all done let him see and understand that the crazier he gets, the wilder things that he says, the more celebrities that go back and forth with him, the more money he makes. You're watching his small evolution right now. I mean, he's been on his shock jock shit. He's been on his outlandish shit, but look at the little key things that he's doing and he's saying now. You see him getting a little braggadocious. I seen some recent video of him like, oh no, I'm just here in my big old house. He never used to talk like that. See, he's wearing jewelry now, talking about, yeah, I done got me a custom chain. These type of diamonds are in it. I done got it insured. It appraises like this now. I seen him with a Gucci hat on recently. He's changing. He's earning more money. He's taking all these bookings. If not already, it's going to continue to be a big part of his livelihood. He gets all this money for these bookings and these interviews, maybe walkthroughs. He gets on his own platform. He generates money, maybe starts to sell merch, hats and shirts and whatnot. He's making money. Like, oh, wait, T.I., me and T.I. is arguing right now. I got booked 20 times now. My manager just called me and said, y'all, and my booking price is going up because I'm talking about other people that's real attractive in these algorithms and in these titles. A T.I., a 50 Cent, this person or that person. It's not just me on my own now. So you end up getting that person's following as well. His bookings are going to actually increase. He's going to get worse. I know a lot of us are going to be in tune with this one right here until it goes all the way and closes out. And that's the RICO case involving Young Thug and Gunna. Crazy, man. I watched that whole court clip that just came out. It was like 20 or 30 minutes or something like that. If you haven't heard, Gunna was just denied his third attempt to go up for bond. Man's trying to make bond, come out and fight his case from at least being home or being outside, maybe even earning a couple more dollars while he's outside. That's why most people want to make bonds, right? Who wants to fight their case from behind the walls? At least let me be outside. Let me be home and be around friends and family. Shit, even if I'm on house arrest, I'll take that a million times over being in a box. So this is his third time going for bond, and he was denied once again. So I'm listening to his attorney's defense that they're putting up, their arguments basically to the judge of why he shouldn't be denied bond based on why he was denied the first 2 times. The first thing that they're reminding the judge is that he was denied bond based on the thought that he would be a threat to the people of the community or the property within the community. The second main reason was one that we hear a lot, especially with Young Thug as well: the threat of witness intimidation. Then his lawyers go on to argue that there have been 2 different people at different times named as leaders of YSL, and he was never named as a leader of YSL. The fourth point that Gunna's lawyers was making was that the prosecution or the state was basically mentioning that he had a prior misconduct case. This one right here was a little interesting to me. Seemed extremely unfair and fucked up. So lawyers were saying that this misconduct case that they're throwing out there and trying to use to, I guess, paint a picture of who Gunna is was only a tinted window case. I don't know. Maybe it didn't get closed out. Maybe he didn't show up to court for it or whatever the case may be. Maybe he argued with a police officer based on a tint ticket. I don't know. But they said it was a tinted window case that resulted in a misconduct charge or something like that. And it's 5 years old. That's fucked up to me, because it's crazy how you can get picked up on a RICO charge, something that's real serious. You're talking about a criminal activity, a criminal organization. You're talking about murders and drugs and all this type of stuff. And to paint a picture of this person's character and also use that as an accusation towards why you should deny him bond. And it turns out to be, yeah, he had prior misconducts, but that's only a tinted window situation. See how they'll do you? That's crazy. Just imagine sitting in court for an assault charge. You got into a fight, and they bring up some old charge that you had 10 years ago of jaywalking. But the prosecution of the state says, yeah, in his prior history, he didn't abide by city laws. You know, maybe some general way of just putting it, instead of saying, yeah, 10 years ago, he jaywalked. Why don't the prosecution of the state say it like that? Like, oh yeah, by the way, 5 years ago, he had a misconduct charge that was related to a tinted window situation. Why they don't say that? They conveniently leave that out and just paints this picture towards the judge and the jury. That's fucked up. Then the defense closes out that piece by telling the judge there was supposed to be new discovery items produced by September, which already passed, obviously. And there were no new items, no new charges that came about for Gunna, yet we're still holding him without bond. Now the prosecution responds. We didn't heard the defense first argument. Prosecution comes, and this woman starts to tell the judge, yeah, there was a new indictment. Gunna's name wasn't in it, but he could still be associated with it. That's another. It's like, yo, damn, like, I'm sitting here behind these walls. There was talks of this new indictment and how I can be involved with it. The new indictment comes down. My name isn't in it, but you're still indirectly tying me to it, saying that I could be involved in it. Then why you don't put my name in it? Why I'm not charged for this new indictment that came down? It's crazy how they could just reach on you like that. Prosecution then continues that there's been fear of witnesses getting whacked. That's like another ding, 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 ding. Same way like they conveniently just say misconduct and don't say that it's a 5-year-old tint charge. This is another ding, 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 ding. Pay attention to what the prosecution is doing here. And it's like all these little tactics in court that you got to be aware of and that are scary as hell. Why use the word whacked? You see, when the defense was speaking, you try to use the court type of standard technical terms. Witness intimidation. Prosecution speaks, said, yeah, witnesses are in fear of him being out and them getting whacked. Whacked to me was always a term that was used by the mafia. Whacked, mafia, RICO. It's like they're painting this picture that is undeserving. Like, and I'm not saying, I don't know if he's guilty or not guilty. I don't know what any of these YSL members were involved in. I don't know what Gunna was involved in, but I think it's crazy the way you just do things like that towards somebody in court. Then the prosecution states to the judge, we would like bond to still be withheld because there's been no change in circumstance. So how do you look at that? No change in circumstance. Meanwhile, September's discovery was supposed to produce something, supposedly. New indictment was supposed to produce something, allegedly. Neither one did. So no change in circumstance should be good for Gunna, or you're going to say no change in circumstance based on the reason why we picked him up in the first place, meaning that nothing good happened in his favor, so we should still keep him. How do you look at that when the prosecution says no change in circumstance, so we request still to deny bond? We've heard a lot of people in the media, a lot of blogs since this case started, since these guys were arrested, that Gunna's being railroaded. Like Gunna's he's getting swept up in this, and he don't really got nothing going on. I don't know what he has going on, but I'll tell you this: when I listen to this bond hearing, he is definitely a primary target. He is a heavy target. I don't know what people are talking about when they say like, "Oh no, Gunna, he just got swept up on accident or whatever." The prosecution and the state want him badly. Then it swings back to Gunna's lawyers, and you hear on the defense side, his lawyer adamantly say multiple times, "We're only talking about Mr. Kitchen. Mr. Kitchen solely poses no threat." And that was like a little ding, ding, ding there too. That was a little telling. Like he was so adamant. Like, why is he harping on that? It's the clear separation that he was trying to create. I don't know if that means that there's, a little bit of a harder case to prove that other people that were arrested on a threat right now, if they're released on bond, but he clearly wanted him separated from anybody else. He was like solely, and we're not talking about anybody else. I'm only talking about Mr. Kitchen. I was like, And speaking of Mr. Kitchen, especially when we were just talking about how each side will use different type of terminology to create a certain perception or to set a certain tone in the courtroom, you notice that the prosecution was calling him Gunna. The defense, Gunna's lawyers, call him Mr. Kitchen. You notice that? It's like little things like that. So if you got a rap name or a gang name, allegedly as Gunna, for example, you see what that does in court. Imagine a jury of people that probably aren't even your peers or a judge up there, and they're hearing that the person in question's name is Gunna or Murder or Killer. You know what I'm saying? Think about it, like Mel Murder in the 6ix9ine case. Imagine that name, the prosecution in the state just keeps on embedding in your mind. Mel Murder, Mel Murder, Mel Murder, Gunna, 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 Gunna. That's not good. That's not good. It's like even when y'all choose y'all names, y'all don't pay attention, do you? Then the decision comes down. The judge heard out the prosecution, heard out the defense at that point, listened to both sides once again at this bond hearing, and he denied it. This is the third time Gunna's denied bond. He said, based on new evidence brought about, it's kind of like a gray area because the prosecution is stating that some of the stuff that's going to still come out will come out in trial. And that's almost like a gray area, even though it's innocent until proven guilty, that there could be some guilt here based on things that's going to come not now, but at trial. But at the same time, I can see the defense saying if it's not coming right now, and these are some of the reasons why he's being held, then let him make bond and we'll go into court. We'll go through this trial and we'll prove everything out at that point, right? So the judge admit that it's kind of like a gray area. And that gray area fell to the side of the state, fell to the side of the prosecution. He was denied again. And then the judge says, the only thing I could do based on this is try the case faster. I'm trying to bring this case to court and bring it to closure for all y'all as soon as possible. And, cases like this, you never know. 6 months, a year, 2 years, who knows, right? If this is the judge's position here, and this is the third time, and he says the best thing I could do is bring this case to trial fast, how would he make bond if he tries to go for a fourth or a fifth? I think at this point, you just have that expectation that, Gunna is going to stay locked up. He's not going to make bond. And there were so many people in the media talking about, of all people, to get wrapped up in this, or one person that's probably going to end up making bond and fighting this case from outside is Gunna. It don't look like that at this point. So I know this is a big case. I'm interested in court proceedings like this. I think there's a lot to learn. Try to learn from situations like this. See how the defense moves, see how the prosecution and the state move, and these are big artists that we follow anyway and we listen to anyway. So I'm probably going to stay a little bit closer to this case. I'll be dropping updates that I take in, new updates that come in court, but it doesn't look like Gunna is going to ever make bond at any point during this case. Kanye West on Drink Champs. Are y'all seeing this clip that's going around? It's about like 30, 35 minutes or something like that. And we're coming off of last week, of course, talking about Kanye wearing the White Lives Matter t-shirt with Candace Owens. So, of course, they both got a huge amount of backlash, especially from the Black community, especially from the hip-hop community, about those t-shirts. People that feel it's very, very counterproductive towards a Black man or a Black woman's plight in America. And that's even the position that I took on this channel last week when I spoke about those t-shirts popping up in pictures. After watching this new clip of Kanye on Drink Champs, it gives me a big reminder about who he is as a person. And before I get there, man, did y'all see how he went off on Meek and Diddy? He's cursing them out. Kind of was taking the position of like how TI was that we spoke about earlier in this podcast. You know, he was screaming at Diddy and screaming at Meek, talking about like, where was y'all at? Where's my friends at? When I was telling people that the Kardashians publicly kidnapped my kids. And that can happen. Like, people think that kidnap is just, you know, some crazy deranged person on the street that grabs your kid and throws him in the back of a truck or something like that. That's not the only form of kidnap. Parents kidnap kids all the fucking time. All the time. I hope that y'all understand that that is something that happens very, very commonly. If you have like a co-parenting situation or some type of agreement between the two parents, whether it came from a judge or whether it was worked out between the two, just taking a kid and moving off somewhere or not being available to the other parent, you know, for an extended amount of time to the point where the parent doesn't know where their child is, that's a form of kidnap. That's a form of kidnap. Parents could get in trouble for that shit. Parents could be brought to court for that shit. You could fuck around and end up in jail behind that shit. So I don't want to take that lightly. I don't know, of course, how everything was unfolding between the Kardashians and Kanye as far as where these kids be at and how they're placed or where they live or the terms of when Kanye can see them or when he can or whatever. I don't know all those fucking details. Seems like just one big wild family situation between Kanye and the Kardashians and all this. It's a lot. But him crying out that my kids were kidnapped from me, that's something to take serious. That's something to take real, real serious. And him having that type of outcry, if he feels that his friends aren't coming to his defense or speaking up, just like we said for TI, if people are scared to speak up for fear that maybe their brands will be attacked by Charleston White, like, oh, I'm not getting into that because then he's gonna come at me. Just imagine how fearful people are of standing up or making public statements towards the Kardashians because of how powerful they are in the industry, in Hollywood, or with the government, whatever. Like, people say how Kim helped people get out of jail and whatnot and stand next to Trump and all this type of stuff. The Kardashian enterprise is huge. So yeah, I could see that happen. I could see Kanye like, yo, I'm in a situation where I can't see my kids. I don't know where they at. That didn't come legally as a sanction or a decision from a judge. I feel like my kids were just taken from me. I feel like my kids were just kidnapped. And everybody that supposedly fucks with him or calls him brother, just Homer Simpsons into the bushes. Just, I'd probably look at some of my friends a little sideways too. So I could see why he starts screaming and cursing them out, because he's talking about his kids. That's an emotional thing to feel like I didn't get any help. I could see why he would black like that. Kanye West, he really is a Neo. He really is a unicorn. He really is unique in the fact that you will never see somebody, maybe never again, in a position and on a platform as large as the one that he stands on, be that outspoken against other corporations, other industries, and other titans. You're not going to see it. And even when he does little things like he seems to be siding so much with Drake right now. Like, he just called Drake the best rapper of all time. Now, immediately, people's going to take that as a slight to Jay-Z. Your big brother's mom, right? What happened? Hove ain't the GOAT to you no more? He not the best rapper of all time? Is he taking shots indirectly at Jay-Z by saying that? If so, this would be just a far-reach guess for me. I could see Kanye and Jay not being on the same page because Jay plays the game more than Kanye. Once again, to get to either one of those levels, there's a lot of rooms that you got to be able to stand in. There's a lot of people you got to rub shoulders with. There's a lot of networks you got to be inside. There's a lot of in circles you got to move around. And Jay-Z obviously knows how to move in a room full of vultures and play those games with these type of people, whether it's political, whether it's Jay. You could see that you're not gonna have Jay-Z get on camera and then spew some wild business about a business deal that didn't go right in his favor. So you're not gonna see that really with Jay. But with Kanye, if Kanye feels like somebody put their hand in his pocket, he don't care if it's the owner of Apple, the owner of Gap, the owner of Adidas, whatever. He's going to put them on blast. Now, sometimes it feels like he puts them on blast for his own private gain or for his own arrogant or selfish ways. Like, I wanted to design another sneaker and you didn't let me. That comes off like a little childish of like, you just got to have everything or you didn't get your way. That's where he fucking fails. Like, in those type of situations, it's hard to hear him out because it just feels like it's this me thing with Kanye. And even in this clip, he says things like, don't tell me no secrets. I'm not your personal hard drive. Like, it's not going to remain a secret if you tell me. He's putting shit out there. For him to be in that type of position, a billionaire, and be in the works and all these inner dealings of these major corporations, you're not going to have somebody inside those type of buildings, inside those type of rooms, meetings and dealings and tell us this type of shit. I feel like Kanye is the same guy that'll coon and dye his eyebrows and his hair blonde and put in some color contacts and go stand next to Trump. But Trump will fuck around and do something and he'll get right on the same camera and out Trump. There's a lot of times where I don't agree with them. There's a lot of times where I can't fuck with them at all. But I do realize how much you need somebody at that level that's willing to do that, that's willing to be outspoken. Because at that level, everybody's going to play the game. And I think that's why he says in a lot of interviews about being killed or come kill me or I'm willing to die for this. I think that's why he says that type of stuff. It's because he knows that there's a lot of big people, a lot of big bosses and companies and whatnot that would never want somebody speaking out on this type of stuff or going against them publicly. So he's putting that out there like, I know what I'm doing is so abrasive and so disruptive. So in his mind, he's like being a little paranoid towards it. Did y'all see the video of 50 Cent trolling his son Marquise? I mean, the guy never ceases to shock me or amaze me, but even still, I watched it like 50's crazy, man. That guy, man, that's somebody you never want to get into it with on the fucking internet. We were just talking last week about Marquise having that online debate with Choke No Joke talking about $6,700 a month ain't enough. I think a lot of people know where they stand on that. And I've seen Marquise kind of get that backlash across the whole internet. And as of recent now, we see Marquise making statements like, you know, he would trade the money for time with his father. And it seems like he's kind of olive branching towards his father at this point. But 50 fucking trolls him. He has this video where he's kind of like watching on TV all this recent dust up over him and his son while he's taking like a bubble bath or some shit. Just trying to, you know, show like he's living a lavish life. Like, I'm unbothered. There's a knock on his door. He goes to answer the door. Uncle Murder's there. And he asks him like, yo, can I get like $6,700 a month or something like that? It's like 50 put together a whole produced video to troll his own son. You got to remember too, the significance there is Marquise is old enough now. Like, you don't get child support no more. You're a grown man. You're at an age where he could earn for himself, have his own goals, his own life. So technically you shouldn't look at it like, oh, that, like, no, like, he's his own man. There's a lot of people in this world that have way less than Marquise or had way less than Marquise. So I don't know, man. It's bugged out though to see a father troll a son when they don't have a relationship at all. But 50 will do that. It's like 50 don't have that filter. 50 will troll you into lawsuits. Like, you don't care who it is, right? He did it to Mayweather. He did it to Rick Ross's wife. He did it to countless people. But on a serious note, I'm glad that there was that big reaction across social media. For the most part, you did see a lot of people kind of bothered and just in total disagreement, like $6,700 a month. This seems like a message of entitlement coming from Marquise. And it's important for other young men or teenagers or kids to see that. Like you hear numbers like that and you think that because this person has a public reputation, automatically they can be right. I follow 50 Cent's son. You don't know, there's a lot of people his age or younger that might follow him on social media, tune in because of who his pops is. But I didn't really want to stay on this topic too long. I really was thinking about Tony Yayo. Just a quick shout out to him. I've been watching a lot of Tony Yayo's recent interviews on My Expert Opinion, on Vlad. One thing that I think is a dope reminder from seeing all these recent Tony Yayo interviews and his recent buzz, it's just important to remind people how beneficial it can be and how important it is to play your position. We hear that so much and it sounds cliche. Play your position, play your position. Oh, we all know what play your position means, but you don't see people really, really carry it out consistently, especially when you're in a spot where you can elevate, or when you're in the public eye, when there's a lot of money to be made and there's women everywhere and you're constantly underneath somebody and living in people's shadows. Even look at the 48 laws of power. Like one of those laws is knowing when to take over the boss or the king or the leader. You don't always have to try to take over the boss or the leader. You don't always have to try to be amongst the top dogs. People playing their position have longevity. Everybody has their spot when it comes to being a successful team. Tony Yayo was never supposed to be 50 Cent. Lloyd Banks was never supposed to be 50 Cent. That might even be some of the friction between Game and 50 Cent. Game probably felt at a spot, at a point that, yo, he could be an equivalent, or I can write songs just as well, or I could be just as big, or I'm a better lyricist, or whatever the case may be. There's nothing wrong with not being the leader, not being the top dog, not being number one, not being in first place. That's okay. Fast forward all these years. What is like G-Unit is like what, 20 years old? And Tony Yayo is still playing his position. I listen to certain things that he says and the way that he upholds 50. And 50 could do no wrong, especially in front of these cameras or on this microphone. 50 could do no wrong. And Yayo is just still holding him down a certain way. And it's just dope to see that. It's dope to see that. I pray that I always have people around me that I can just trust like that, because there's people that are around me that I play second to. There's a lot of people around me that play second to me. And the moment you start feeling like, oh, nah, I could do that, or I should be here, or I should be this, or I should be that, that's where you start to crack the foundation of some of these teams. It's fucked up. You know, another person that played their position pretty well, it feels like, Memphis Bleek. You probably don't hear from him at all. You don't see him that much. How many people expected me to say his name right now? When's the last time you heard somebody say Memphis Bleek? But that man played his position. You never got that energy from Bleek that he wanted to be something bigger than what he was. I think to this day, like anything on God's green earth that is obtainable by Jay-Z, Memphis Bleek has access to. I think Jay's a phone call away for somebody like Bleek. Because remember that story that, you know, Jay felt responsible for Bleek because he's the one that took him out of the projects and off of a certain course. Like, let's say Bleek was going to school or whatever, and Jay was the one that grabbed him and said, nah, we're going to go over here to do this. So I got to make sure that if I'm going to take him out of this and put him in that his success is now kind of on me. He had that perception. And anytime I've listened to a Bleek interview or I've seen the way he moves or he talks, it's just like Tony Yayo to 50. It's the same shit. People just don't want to play their spot, man. Imagine me and you came up together in the same hood. We went to the same school, same middle school, same elementary, whatever. And I end up being this and you end up being that. I end up being the boss. You end up being the worker. It's not an easy spot for people to play, especially for a long term. You see it all the time. We grew up together, but we're not the same level. And I think Yayo was older than 50. And all these years he's played that position to him. Like, nah, 50, you the boss, you the man, you the leader. You to go to. That's dope to see, man. This amount of time, I feel like it's not common enough. And I see it in people. I see where people crack because they're coming up underneath somebody. Meanwhile, they feel like that's my peer, that's my brother, or I grew up with him, or we the same age, or whatever the case may be. Seeing Yayo put out this type of energy after all this time is dope. Play your position, man. All right, we're going to keep it there for episode 6. Don't forget to go to rarebreedent.com. Go grab your tickets and your VOD for Blood, Sweat, and Tears 7 going down October 29th at the Oxygen Bar in Atlanta. Doors open up at 12 o'clock. Be there early. First come, first serve. It's going to be a real fun day for battle rap. I think we got like 7 or 8 battles going down for y'all. So Yeah, it's going to be a real good look. We're going to put on a good show for y'all. Sorry It's True is the podcast and RBE is the movement. It's your boy. I'm out of here.